The engine in my T is getting a bit tired. I bought this engine quite a while ago for 350 bucks, but it's fuming out the breather a lot. Like, it's pretty bad out here, and it vibrates, and it's got like loud ticking noise from this side of the engine, and it may have broken rings, and it's pretty weak. Like, I think it should be way better than that, but I scored many years ago. This is a 99A military style motor. It's a big truck motor. It's 239 cubic inch, 3 3/16 bore. It's got the factory relieved block, and this motor, the guy had started to work on it already. It's all been stripped down, hot tanked, and it's had one sleeve put in one cylinder because I think he said it dropped the circlip and scored up the bore, and also that cylinder had one aluminium piston in it and one 8BA rod, because this motor is supposed to be the full floating crank bearing style, big end bearing. And I've started, everything's sort of got covered in surface rust for sitting, so I cleaned up these. I put a new bush into here. This pressure plate, actually, I think it's brand new. Oh, it's been rebuilt. It's got all new paint on those springs and all that. I'm going to get the head surfaced, the crank ground. Going to go -10 on the crank, +20 on the bore. And yeah, he said this block has been pressure tested, and I've had it inspected and measured, and the guy said it looks really good, but we're going to have it magnafluxed and pressure tested again just to make 100% sure. Because if this one's bad, I have a few other options I can do. And I got some more bits today. I finally found one of these sump repair things, because the dipstick always gets broken off like that when they're dragging the old engines around. So I can grind out those rivets, then rivet that one on. And they're brass, so it should be a lot stronger than the alloy one. There's a gasket for it. I got a oil pump rebuild kit, but I'm not 100% happy with this. It's all new old stock bits, like new old stock gears. They've all got the Cosmoline still on them. It's got the bushings, but he had no shaft, so had some shafts made up, and he's pressed on the new gear to the end, but it needs to be pinned. All the other ones, they drill into the corner and put a pin in there, because you could possibly twist that off if you're running heavyweight oil. But I don't know. I have an Argentinian oil pump rebuild kit, and every bit was there apart from it was missing this plate. So I might go with the Argentinian one, because it's actually really old, and I think it's quite good quality. And I splashed out today and bought a gasket set. That was actually really expensive, but I've used best head gaskets in the other V8, and I was pretty happy with them. And pretty much got everything I need in here. I got new pistons. These are a 3-ring piston rather than the 4, and they're the latest style pistons. I got a new ring set for them. Got a set of gudgeon pins. I got new big end bearings. These are the full floaters. These are the copper lead ones. So that's all ex-army stock, because the New Zealand Army ordered, I think, 5,000 of these universal carriers, and they bought a whole lot of spares, so there's quite a lot of nice old army stuff floating around. Got cam bearings. These are late model reproduction ones. I've got reproduction valve springs. This is a fiber timing gear. I got that for the other motor, but I'm not going to use it because this motor's got a cast iron timing gear. I'll use that. I've got mains, which are and again remade stuff. Got 8BA valves and guides. And that's all the valve guides, and I got one of those special front seals. Oh yeah, fuel pump rod bush. I got cylinder head nuts, and I don't have the nuts here. I've ordered them, but I've got all studs. I've got the main bearing nuts. I still need to get main bearing studs. I got small end bushes, new old stock. They need a clean up. Worry about losing stuff non-stop. Keep on coming up here and checking that I got everything. Oh yeah, I got given actually, because it had one 8BA rod with the clip-in type bearing, which had then been honed out to use the floating bearing, so I had to buy a new set of second-hand rods. So I got a good pair of these. These are 99A rods. So they need to be honed +8 on the big end. Checked for straightness, and the new bushes put in and honed. So that's quite a lot of work. I've had this pump rebuilt. It's got a second-hand end plate on it, but I got the new one now, so I put that on. That's got the Argentinian kit in it, which the only difference I could see was it had brass or bronze bushes instead of those white metal ones, but I think it'll be alright. It's nice old stuff, so it should be good. I'm going to use the lock nuts on the rods rather than the split pins. There's all the cylinder head studs, 48, the main stud nuts, the collets for the valves of the keepers. The motor would have originally used the mushroom end valves with the split guides, but I'm going to run the 8BA straight valves and the one-piece guides. So 16 8BA exhaust valves, the spring retainer things, those little valve guide horseshoe retainer things, valve guides, and these are new old stock 29A lifters. These are cast ones, chilled cast iron. They're not the welded steel type. This is far better than anything you can buy now. They make soft crap now. And there was a bit of concern about, like, you can't run these valves, straight stem valves, with the welded pressed steel lifters because you'll smash a hole through the top. But they said for these should be alright. There's plenty of meat on them and they're pretty solid, so it won't cave them in. I cleaned up most of these nuts and bolts. That's basically junk because it's not the best to reuse these because they get really pitted on the ends. But these are nice ones, the threads are rolled onto them rather than cut like the modern ones. And yeah, this flywheel, I'm going to get the whole lot balanced, so the engine builder wants the flywheel. That does need resurfacing, and that needs just a clean up, I think. And because I've converted it to a late model 4-speed, I need to put a spigot bush in there because this car at the moment, I've got the wrong bearing in there. It's just not good. Like if the clutch wears down, the clutch plate might jam up on it and you'll have no clutch. And because this is a wartime motor, there's very little aluminium used, so it's got a cast iron timing gear, which is actually nice because the alloy ones wear out. And I really hope this block is usable. It looks actually pretty mint. The only crack we could find by visual inspection was that one between here and here, and basically everyone says you can just leave them. It has a sleeve in this cylinder, which the guy said they've done a good job. It's got a step down the bottom so it can't fall out. You can see it's just around here, and You get the valve seats cut. It's been decked, so somebody's done a bit of work on it. So, and also I'm gonna run an oil filter, so they're gonna drill and tap in here to take a grub screw, so when the oil will be pumped out here through the filter and then back in the sole here. So that's a nice mod. So all of the oil apart from the feed to the rear main gets filtered, so it'll be like a small block Chev basically. And these are high nickel blocks apparently. They're sought after one. It's got extra meat in the walls. I did a bit of cleaning, like had a bit of like flash still around here, so I've scraped all that off with a file. Cam bearings need knocking out. A few little pits and all that, but it's alright. I smoothed off a few rough edges. Yeah, that motor there had porosity around here, so pulled these studs out, and somebody had actually cross-threaded one of them, so I had to, and then they drilled it out and it was all bad, and I had to tap it 12mm metric and helicoil it. It was the only way to repair it. It wouldn't take 716 UNC anymore. And I also got a new one of these sump gauzes. The guy was complaining he never sold any, but then he sold 4 this week already. This sump's really odd. Usually they've got a vent here for the draft tube, but this one is solid. I think it used some kind of positive crankcase ventilation. Somehow got to clean this. I have no idea how I'm going to clean this out. It's going to be pretty hard. It's got full of surface rust, and then I sprayed it with fish oil. I started cleaning up the crank, gave it a wire buff many years ago, and wrapped it up with some grease. So that's going to be ground -10 and then balanced. It's a heavy old 3-bearing, main bearing crank. It's really heavy. But yeah, as I said, if you get them balanced, the bearings last a lot longer.